Hey everybody, how you doing? Hey, right out off the bat, my friend Casey and Pratt and I are having a dispute because he reported fake news regarding the attendance at the Las Vegas ballpark for the A's versus Brewers opener. And he said, well, it wasn't a sellout, so it didn't do well. Well, that's what he's putting out there, okay? And so I'm saying, aha, so you want to put that out there. Let's take a little consideration for what we're really talking about here and look at the facts. And while I point that in your direction, I'm going to make a couple of corrections along the way. Uh, Corrections, I mean, with respect to where this video goes in terms of its social media posting, okay? And also the issue of monetization, which I thought I took care of, but I did not. The bottom line is that there are people who want to demonstrate the idea that Las Vegas isn't ready for baseball. When the Athletics did two very extensive market studies 5 years ago, which demonstrated that, oh, hey, they really are ready for baseball. And then they had those market studies updated, and proving that there was indeed a hunger for baseball in Las Vegas. And then something else happened during the pandemic. An estimated 40,000 people migrated from California to Las Vegas, many of them from the San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area, which means what? More than ever, the A's have a built-in fan base in Las Vegas and the Las Vegas metropolitan area for baseball. So it's only logical to believe that indeed attendance will do well. I keep saying this because Casey and others will not focus on the fact that Oakland screwed up. And I don't care how much buddying up you do to the mayor of Oakland or with the mayor of Oakland, the simple fact of the matter is that Oakland's institution does not have the will and the initiative to complete big projects. Simply does not. Now, here is Casey's title. A's fall short of selling out first Vegas game since stadium announcement. As if that's supposed to be a difference maker. But let's test that, okay? That's what Casey says, all right? In other words, he's not telling you what the capacity is. He's giving you the idea that, well, it didn't make sellout. Well, really, what is that? What does a sellout look like, okay? The sellout, it would be a very good question to ask. Because if you look up the Las Vegas ballpark, we're not talking about the big one. Hasn't been finished, even started yet. Long way to go and a lot of documents to be approved. What we're talking about, folks, and I will show you, is this simple version of a ballpark called Las Vegas Ballpark expressed here. And over here is this kind of rather nifty little bit of information regarding something called capacity. The capacity right here is 8,196 standing. That's the capacity. All right? 8,196. Sitting, 10,000 standing. That's the capacity. So, if you take the information regarding what happened last night and consider that, and the information that tells us that that 7,000, excuse me, waiting for this to come into release, 7,938 people attended the contest, right? 7,938. So, that being the case, we would then look at a simple estimate saying, all right, If we have 8,000 as the capacity, we have 8,196, 8196, and then we subtract the attendance last night, which is set at 7,900. It's quite important. 938. Okay. All right. We get 258 people. Yeah. Look. Is this falling short? 258. Is that what you mean by falling short? 258 people, Casey. Is that what you mean? 258 people. So you're saying that because 258 people didn't come, it's a failure? So what do you call an attendance of 9,300 the next day? Which means they're getting the sellout plus standing room only. What do you get? All right. Do you want to average the two? Yeah. Okay. 258 people didn't attend. Or let's look at it. Let's take it this way. All right. What's 258 divided by the total capacity listed here, sitting of 8,196, and that equals 258 divided by 8,196, and that equals 0.03%. Yeah. Okay. Or if you like, 3%. So you're saying that because they're 3% short, 3% short of a sellout, that's falling short. They fell short of a sellout. You missed it by 3%. That's what you're saying, okay? You're missing by 3%. Casey, seriously? All right. But now we come back to your title, which reads, A's fall short of a sellout. So you're saying that because they missed it by 3%, that's falling short. I could see if they were 10% off. All right. 10% is really falling short. Falling short means, man, you didn't draw a significant number of people, and that's a concern. But even then, 10% is like, if it were 15%, 20%, yeah, 20% definitely falling short. 20%, yeah. Almost one quarter, absolutely. But they didn't. They were 3% away from a sellout on a Friday night. 3%. 3% away. But you're so against the move, or whatever's going on, and so want to gin up what remaining A's fans there are to be ginned up, I suppose, or whatever's going on, that you would throw out this idea that the A's performed badly when, in point of fact, they performed extremely well. There's a lot of excitement built up around the A's coming to Las Vegas. As well, there should be. And so it's not going to do any good to put up these ideas. Now on Twitter, you, I guess, thought you were being, reactive or whatever it is. Okay. And here we go. All right. He says, this is so fun. All right. And I'm not letting go of this one, man. I am not letting go. No way. I'm gonna hold on to this like a German Shepherd, man. Arr! Or a pit bull. I am not letting go of this thing. No way. No way. I'm gonna zoom in. And I'm gonna zoom in. And I'm gonna zoom in some more. Oh yeah. Okay, Casey says, you've been at this in this game long enough to know how announced attendance works. Look, you can't get upset because the news isn't as you want it to be. The simple fact of the matter is that they did do well. Okay? They did do well. All right? You say game one last night was not a sellout. Game 2 was announced a sellout. All right? Again, here's the thing. Okay? They were, as I'm writing on your board here for all to see, they were off by 3%, dude. 3%. 3%. Okay? 3%. 3%. Okay? 3 freaking percent. All right? 3 freaking percent. All right? Okay? And the capacity is not listed as 10,000. That's where you're wrong, Casey. The capacity, okay, and I'm going to write this too, all right? And you're wrong about capacity. Okay? Sitting capacity is 8,196. Standing room is 10,000. Ha 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 ha. Okay? I'm having fun with this, man. Look at this. I'm having some fun with this, okay? Actually, okay? All right? Grasshopper, okay? And you're wrong about capacity. Sitting capacity is 8,196. Standing is 10,000. Ha ha ha. Oh, I love this so. Yeah. Here's the thing, Casey. I don't play games. All right? You're siding with the Oakland government and allowing the Oakland government to make a ton of mistakes, and I'm tired of it. Okay? You don't challenge them. I've been at this a generation. I have lived this. You don't want to tell my story. Larry Beal doesn't want to tell my story. So I have to make a media company and tell my story going all the way back to the Super Bowl that we almost got, which any news organization, all right, should be telling and was telling when it happened. But you all don't tell the story because of your issues with me. Period. End of story. I'm not the stereotypical black story that you want out there. That's why I created my own media company. That's why I sought to be incorporated, because of folks like you. All right? I'm putting it right out there because there is no logical reason why you all would handle this the way that you're doing it at all. I've been impacted by this as a public official, and now I'm seeking to stop it as a private sector member of business. Okay? It's got to stop. I understand that you don't like the move, but don't come up with fake news. The capacity sitting is 8,196. And then when it looks like, hey, they had SRO, you don't want to report it that way. You want to say, well, that's announced. That's announced. Because you don't like the news. Although I admire what you're saying, if you don't like the news, you're going to go out and make some of your own. I get it. I get it, my friend. I get it. But somebody's got to be the counter, and that might as well be me. Because there's too much of the BS on the other side. Oakland A's fans need to get involved in fixing Oakland government. We have a JPA. Okay, so you claim to be a Roots fan, okay? We have a JPA that's a year from folding in its operation. Did you know that? All right. We have a JPA that is without its own truly dedicated revenue source. We have a JPA that allowed itself to be raided by the city for 9/11 money that the city could have gotten you through tax increment financing on its own or through shifting of fund balances on its own for $2 million. Are you kidding me, man? All right. This is ridiculous. We have a JPA that allowed the city attorney to walk in and say, hey, Brown Act, you cannot do closed session with the Roots, but not explain why. After we did 3 closed sessions with the Roots last year and there was no problem whatsoever. You all don't call that out. Yet people you're siding with that have no problem blasting Nate Miley, but when it comes to Libby or Shang, in other words, black politician, male, oh yeah, we'll go after him. I've actually seen them become the defense of a black elected official, male or female, as I think about it. The racial overtones of this thing stink to high heaven. All right, on top of everything else. If you're going to get involved in Oakland government, young man, do not be afraid to get dirty and criticize it. If your bosses are telling you not to, your bosses are doing everybody a disservice. You know it, I know it, and Larry knows it, and everybody else. Stop being part of the problem. Start being part of the solution. We need people to force our governments to change, to deliver services better. This is a government problem. You understand? This is a government problem. And it is a serious problem of gargantuan proportions that result in record numbers of people on the street, record numbers of people underemployed, record numbers of crime in Oakland, and record numbers of restaurants involved in Oakland Restaurant Week, and for a good, great reason, really. They need the exposure, of which I, running Zenny 62 Media, a sponsor of Oakland Restaurant Week, are only too happy to provide. Okay? Is ABC helping out with Oakland Restaurant Week? I don't see anything. We are one of the sponsors and media. I don't see anything. And the mainstream media outlets that are involved in pushing Oakland Restaurant Week can't help but slide in the bad news. I don't do that. When I'm talking about Oakland Restaurant Week, I'm talking about Oakland restaurants because they need the help. I am serious about this, about improving Oakland government. Why? Because where does Oakland Restaurant Week come from in terms of its administration, but the government of Oakland itself? So this is a good thing. But the way the Coliseum has been ran, it's clubby, it's piecemeal, and it's highly political, and you're playing right into it, and I really wish you would stop. Okay? It would be nice if one of you all out there came on my side and said, you know what, we're going to get behind Zenny. Because you're not. And Ace fans have been handed a lot of pablum. But you know why? Because the people feeding Ace fans the pablum believe that they'll eat it. And so far, they've been proven correct. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Zach P says, who gives a blank? The A's are moving. Zach, well, I care because I care about Oakland government. Oakland, I said this when we were trying to retain the Raiders for the second time. I said, Oakland must prove it has the will and the initiative to complete big projects. We have failed 3 times. We failed with the Raiders. We failed with the Warriors. And now we failed with the A's. How many times at bat, pun intended, does one need to see that Oakland does not have the will and the initiative to complete big projects? What is the best expression of a big project other than a sports stadium or a convention center? Our convention center, downtown Oakland Marriott, built in 1988. Has it been expanded? No, not at all. Has there been talk of it? Once, a whimper, way back in the early 90s. That's it. Nothing else. We talk more about expanding police administration than we do expanding any part of the facilities portion of the meetings, incentives, convention, and entertainment industry, the MICE industry, that gives all other cities, especially Las Vegas, because of its activity in that industry, the television exposure it gets, and the internet exposure, and then some. So no mercy on this. We have to make Oakland improve. We have to make Oakland better. And it must start with its government. Gravity says, I obviously don't doubt Major League Baseball will grant Oakland an expansion team just for 3 more years at the Coliseum. Do you think they will cave in and let the A's stay for 3 more years at merely a higher rental amount? Nope. No, I don't. But see, here's why Oakland can really push the idea of an expansion team in a different way. You want to know what it is? Are you ready? Prove that indeed Oakland is capable and ready for an expansion team by doing something. By doing the small work. If you say you want it at Howard Terminal, first of all, changing the Coliseum Joint Powers Authority into a full stadium authority with full civic jurisdiction. That way, it doesn't matter at all where the site would be for Ballpark. The Coliseum Stadium Authority, as I envision it, would have jurisdiction. What does that mean? It means that it would be able to help float bonds for that facility. It means that it would be able to, prior to that, do land prep and all of the other steps required to get that facility built. That's what it means. It would also mean in the Stadium Authority that we have an organization focused on building stadiums and conventions, a large scale oriented organization. We don't have that right now. The closest thing that we had to it was the original Oakland Redevelopment Agency. We have nothing like that right now. The Port of Oakland, you say? The port's focused primarily on maritime. Real estate is secondary to the port, save for where it has to do with maritime operations, and really that's the way it should be. Okay? But what I'm talking about is something that we don't have. That's why I spent so much time on the JPA. That's why I gave the presentation last fall. But what has the JPA done since then? Canceled the first 2 meetings. No rush to get up to date, which tells you what? They don't care to get up to date because eventually they feel like the whole thing's going to go away anyway. That's how they're acting. Prove me wrong. Show me, for example, where the advisory board that I called for that was voted in has actually been established. So we're acting without an advisory board that we put into motion by vote last fall. But hey, no advisory board. This isn't fun and games. I am trying to fix this city. Politics is too important to be left to politicians. You don't need to run for office to do these things. You have tons of people actually care about our city who get involved in different ways. This is mine. All right? This is mine. I want my city to succeed. Now, wanting my city to succeed means that if it succeeds, who eventually wins? The elected officials. So why fight me? Think about it, okay? Think about it. Think about it. All right? If I'm giving you the tools, use them. It's for your own good. It's like I'm saying to you, eat your peas, and you're yelling at me. I don't want to eat my peas. I don't want to eat my peas. I'm saying, eat your peas. Eat your peas. You gotta eat your peas. But the way we are was brought to us in cold relief by our good city attorney, Barbara Parker, who said, hey, look, no closed session for Oakland Roots, but I'm not going to tell you what the reason is. Closed session is what? It's closed. They could have had the closed session, handled all of this behind the scenes, and adjourned without any decision. You want proof? Look at the agendas from last year when there was closed session, and yet they didn't mention what's being talked about. How come when they mention what the Roots are, they have closed session where the Roots are involved, they have to mention it's the Roots, but when it's not, they leave it blank? You think I'm kidding? Take a look at the documents. It's all right there. Why this gaming all the time? Game. Gravity Falls says, do you think the stadium will be shoved in the southeast corner? Will there be a total of 9 acres incorporated closer to the middle? I don't think the 9 acres really matters, to be frank. I think that it's a nice kind of marker, but the reality is that they're building an integrated facility as one. Don't believe the media reports, because I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's the Chronicle. I don't care if it's ABC. I don't care who it is. All right? I don't care. All right? Should not have required A's rebuild West Oakland and build old. Well, they didn't. All right? That you said should not have required A's. Oh, and here's the kind of guy that I am. Casey, you want to fire back at me? Here's my invite right here, okay? I'm putting the link. I'm putting the invite link right here. Anybody can just grab the invite link, get on camera. No, not audio only. Get on camera. State your case. Because this is too important a problem not to talk about. Not to talk about. This is very important, all right? And so, see, where is... In fact, I'll put it on Twitter. Come on and talk about it. And let's see here. Whoops. Let's see here. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop. Okay. Yeah, come on and talk about it, Casey. Forget all these other people that have all these other things to say. Come on and talk about it. It's right there, okay? Come on and talk about it. All right. Now, let me get to this part. Should not have required A's rebuild West Oakland and build low-income housing as part of the deal. First of all, we do have... And yeah, it was part of it, okay? But here's the problem. And I need you to focus on this. The original idea, when I contacted Dave Cobble on the 4th of April, 2017 at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, our planned phone meeting, I told him that he needed to use tax increment financing. And I said the reason was because you have to subsidize the construction of affordable housing or you will not get Howard Terminal built. I gave him a warning. And yet I gave him the tools to meet the moment. Tax increment financing. Or as David Malmuth, the developer who built the home of the Academy Awards, Ovation Hollywood, said in our recent interview, tax increment financing is perhaps the most powerful financing tool available. That's a man who knows something. So, those of you who don't know tax increment financing, what it is or how to calculate it, okay? The idea, sir, was to use tax increment financing to allow the subsidization of construction to make quality housing affordable on the property. You want that housing, among other reasons, because you want the people there who will then circulate their dollars within the shops and restaurants and event centers that would be on at Howard Terminal. That's only logical. In other words, to build a city within the city. And I could take it a step further. If I'm the athletics, I want it to be able to spread my base of possible ways to make money so that I can afford the more expensive player to come in the future that is already here with the Dodgers. Okay? That's where we're headed. So you're absolutely 100% wrong about that. And when Rebecca Kaplan comes along and says, we can build something that's just basically a simple ballpark, that shows that she and others don't understand the economic problems that baseball organizations face right now with respect to the main driver of cost increase in everything from stadiums to overall operations, salaries, going all the way back to 2003. All right. So that's the problem. These salaries are large, huge, and getting huger. Okay. Hopper says it's not just a standalone 9-acre ballpark, but a 9-acre ballpark is part of a 35-acre development. But again, it's okay if it's bigger than 9 acres. No one's going to get shot. That's what's so silly about this. Okay? Not calling you silly. Hopper says Casey keeps peddling the false narrative that the funding will not be available. Right. And to what end? Egg on face. All right? Low-income people can't afford to throw money around in retail and shopping in Howard Terminal. Yeah, of course, if the price is right. Absolutely. And here's gets to the other question. What do you define as low income? See, you have something in your head regarding low income that in point of fact doesn't even fit the reality of what low income is considered today. Low income is actually considered middle class. Low income is actually considered middle class. So you really need to check how you think about it. And there's nothing wrong with people not having money either. You want a diversity of income. Out of that, you get artists, guitar players, for example, painters, dancers, piano players. You get all of that. Why the hell would you want something that's exclusively luxury? Anybody who wants that, as far as I'm concerned, is an idiot. You don't know how cities work, and you allow them to collapse when you form that singular high income only point of view. Recipe for disaster. Okay? This is the only time I've gotten after, well, not the only time, I've got after Casey about it. But, hey, he's working for somebody that's encouraging this. I get it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be pressing so hard. Okay? It's not by accident. Casey is doing his job. And it's funny how others out there say, well, oh, I have to be paid by somebody, but Casey is being paid by someone. And they don't ask who's paying that someone. Look, the San Francisco Chronicle took out a sponsored ad against Ben Bartlett, who was running for Alameda County Supervisor. Yeah, the Berkeley council member, a friend of mine, pushing that ad, a 4-year-old article about how he just basically said to an Oakland cop, a Berkeley cop who's writing him a ticket, hey, by the way, I'm a council member. He didn't say write off my ticket. But still, that Berkeley police officer squawked to the Chronicle. Seriously? Okay? So why would the Chronicle get involved in politics like that? Is that journalism? No. But here is the worst aspect of that story. Someone paid them because everybody knows that you can't make money in media anymore with ad revenue. You have to go through little tricks and sometimes big ones to get the dollars you need. ABC 7's doing it. San Francisco Chronicle is certainly doing it. Fake news all over for objectives. That's where we're at. Okay? Gravity Fallout Pines writes, it would be pretty amazing if the Bally's hotel design meant incorporating with a ballpark, so it almost looked like one cohesive structure. That, I believe, is where they're headed. Which logically should end the whole, well, it can only be 9 acres sort of jazz. All right? We've got to cut the stupidity out of these conversations. And the best way to do that is to counter this information so we can get to where we actually have good, detailed discussions. The capacity is 8,196 for baseball, Casey. 8,196 for baseball. Okay? 8,196 for baseball. That's the capacity. It's 10,000 standing. All right? So what would the accurate reporting be for Saturday? Very simple. Hey, they had a standing room only crowd. Okay? Was just in Vegas. Mayor was on the news bad-mouthing the move and encouraging A's not to move. She does that, though. Okay? She does that. I was just in Las Vegas, too, for the Super Bowl. So you say the mayor, but let me show you what the gentleman who's running for mayor, officially running for mayor, okay? Officially running for mayor, all right? Officially running for mayor said to me, so you raise me your mayor report, all right? And I raise you Las Vegas Councilman Cedric Creer, all right? And what he said to me, okay? And this is what that man said very simply to me, right here. At the Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party. There, okay? And here is Cedric Creer. That the Athletics should figure out a way to stay in Oakland and not relocate. And then the fine print reads, Mayor Carolyn Goodman has since clarified that Vegas will be a spectacular market. I had the pleasure of meeting Las Vegas council member Cedric Creer, who's also running for mayor of Las Vegas, the top mayoral candidate, at the Lee Steinberg Super Bowl party, and asked him about his view of the Athletics moving to Las Vegas. Here's what he said. Thank you. Hey, what do you think about the Athletics coming here?
Oh, I think the Athletics are great. I'm looking forward to Major League Baseball coming here. It's just a matter of time before we get Major League Soccer here. Just a matter of time before we get We get basketball here. The NBA's got to come. We are a sports city, and sports cities are going to be well-rounded. If you look at the success of the Aces, look at the success of the Golden Knights. We've got the Raiders here. We got a USL team here. Don't forget that we also have the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which is based here in Las Vegas, always has been, and so they are on the map. What else could you ask for? We need all these other sports to come in.
Well said. Thank you, sir.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Good man.
Hey, folks, number.
Hey, running from Las Vegas mayor. All right. Running for Las Vegas mayor. Okay. So there you go. Matthew says, what does it matter if it doesn't sell out? When it becomes clear they're moving, then it will sell out. Well, Matthew, he's talking about thank you for the comment. He's talking about the spring training Las Vegas ballpark facility, not the MLB ballpark that will be built on the Tropicana Hotel site. Big difference, okay? All right? So, that's it. Now, this is Hopper says, against stupidity, the gods themselves contend in vain. Interesting. Mr. Fuentes says, what does Casey have to gain besides clicks and views for saying what he's saying? Easy. Well, the real question is, why do his bosses do that? He doesn't run ABC7, and he works for them. Okay? So why? I would say that it's very simple. In a very challenging media environment, the one thing you don't want to do is lose numbers of people following you. The one thing that I learned when I was vlogging about the Raiders leaving was, wow, my numbers were through the roof for video. Okay. And it was, and I gained a new fan base because of that. But I also knew it was temporary. Once the Raiders move was done, my views would go down, because even if I talked about it, which I did, there'd be fewer people to pay attention. And so I made the decision that I was not going to turn away from the National Football League. That was my bread and butter going in. It was going to be my bread and butter coming out. That was the idea. And KC and ABC7 are going to suffer the same fate. All right? Because they made a very similar decision that I made as a Raiders fan. So they think, hey, we're going to be fans. We're going to reflect the fans, and that's how we get the viewers. So we have to say something to keep them engaged. I've been through this before. I've seen it before. And I resolved that because I saw the problems that the city was facing in the Raiders issue. And yet, my god sister, Libby Schaff, did not want to debrief. She went on with, hey, working on a re-election, not admitting any mistakes in the case of the Raiders, and continuing like nothing happened. And at that point, I thought, we didn't do this right at all, and we're never going to do it right. And then when the A's issue came up, even though I'm the person that introduced tax increment financing into this entire discussion via my meeting with Dave, did Libby seek to hire me as project manager? No. She said she didn't want to hire her friends. Will you hire your enemies? She actually did hire her friend. Betsy Lake had no business doing this, and neither did Molly Mayburn, who was old friends with her. Okay? Pure and simple. Pure and simple. So for those of you, complaining that I'm mad because I wasn't hired, you're damn right. And if you think there's something wrong with that, you got a real massive problem up here. Because you're not a person who believes you can get the job done. So, you want to sit in the corner and sulk about it. I know. I will let you know that I thought your decision not to hire me was stupid. Because I went to, not only did I go to school to do this stuff, I can go around town and show you projects I've helped get off the ground, including the Home Depot over there in Emeryville. All right. So I have receipts, as they say. You got any receipts? No. All right. So you want to get mad at me for saying I'm the person who should have been hired and the A's would have been here had I been hired? So what? Get as mad as you want to. It's not going to change a thing. It's a fact. Because I went along pointing out all those errors. Now, Rabel says, Friday night cold and windy. I was there today in sellout. Crowd enthusiastic and into the game. And not only that, hey, Friday night cold and windy, but they all still almost reached capacity. They're only 3% off. 3% off. That's it. 3% off. Okay? 3% off. That's it. Boom. All right. Bruce Stewart says, Career knows where it's at. We can handle all the major sports here in Las Vegas, the tourists, and opposing teams. Fans will fill out the attendance. More people will travel to Vegas. That is very true. Thank you, Sir Chice. I believe Casey and Brady will pivot to SF Giants. Says, when A's leave, will fans turn on each other? I hope not. I hope the fans of the A's really do become fans of Las Vegas, because the A's were not treated correctly in the Oakland context. All right? They were sold the idea that the city would do tax increment financing, and not by me, but by Libby working with Dave Covell and Rob Bond to establish, and Nancy Skinner, to establish SB 293 Skinner, which basically was the designer tax increment financing zone specifically for the Athletics. But then the city didn't implement it. And then Libby said, well, in one answer to my question, which I have here on Zinni 62, she said to me, Zinni, and I'm paraphrasing, redevelopment, we don't have anymore. And so there's a lot that we can't do like we used to. So we're going to use we're going to use enhanced infrastructure financing, or she said EIFD, right? Not realizing that EIFD means tax increment financing. The heart of redevelopment. So Libby had, God love her, no idea what she was talking about. But that's why you don't want elected officials being your spokesperson. You let the professionals take over. But in this ego-driven environment, which comes from a guy with a big ego, you have people who are, because they have a title like mayor or anything else, they think that they should know everything. No. You hire the best people to do it. Yeah, your friends. Because you can say, hey, look, this person's done that. That guy nearly brought the Super Bowl here when no one else gave him enough resources and a chance. And I know he can get it done if we give him the resources and a chance. And so that's what we're going to do with Zinni. All right? You bring in somebody who's fanatical enough to get it done, who will quite literally eat, sleep, and drink the job. And that's me. All right? You don't like it? Too freaking bad. Yeah, go and whine about Zinni saying, yeah, doggone right I am. You're right, I am. Big deal. All right? Zinni, when the A's leave? Yes. When the A's leave, will fans like Oakland 68's and Left Dive Bar turn on each other, including the Oakland government? Probably would change the strong mayor tactic. I hope they get involved in changing right now. If the A's leave, I think some of them, because of the ballpark and it's being finished, I think the majority of them will go to Las Vegas to visit. May even eventually wind up moving, depending over time. That's happening with a number of Raider fans. What has happened in Oakland is a travesty. And at the center of why it happened is its government. And we have to change the government so we can stop hemorrhaging businesses. We have forgotten how to do effective, true economic development. Hayward does it better than we do. All right. Bay Area media stirred up hatred not only to Fisher but to Las Vegas, but they can cuss all they want. That's transitory. Okay, that's transitory. But hey, mark my words. All right, that facility they're slated to build is going to transform Las Vegas yet again. And mark my words, when it's open, and then for the year after that, and for subsequent years after that, everyone will talk about how Oakland blew it. They will speak glowingly of the fan effort to keep the A's there, but they will also say in the next breath, it was too late because the damage was done almost 3 years before A's fans figured out what was really going on. All right? How can Oakland voters change the way Oakland leadership handles development in Oakland? By changing the structure. By installing, in this instance, for the Coliseum, an enhanced infrastructure financing district, by writing a stadium authority legislation and plan as an overlay, along with our public financing authority and who will sit on it, and then the infrastructure financing plan. The council would approve the establishment of the enhanced infrastructure financing district and the public financing authority, and the public financing authority would oversee the completion of the infrastructure financing plan in conjunction with the city government. The city would finance the initial payments for the staff for the new public financing authority, and once the public financing authority would file its bond issue, calculated to include its administrative cost, part of which it would pay back to the city. See what I'm getting at? All right. In your estimation, how long do you believe Oakland Coliseum will still be up? Modified. I think it's going to go through a modification process. Right now, we've got to do something with that facility, if only to improve the grounds of it, around it and around much of East Oakland, because 2050, where it's slated that area will be mostly underwater, is coming. Think about it. This is 2024, 2025, right? Then we get to 2030, and that's 20 years. That is the length of a lease. Okay? So you're talking about building a ballpark there. You're going to hold a team to a 30-year lease, and yet you have not solved the riddle. Think about this. I don't want you to think about this hard. You have not solved the riddle of building mitigation to stop sea level rise in that area. So you're cheating the very people you say you want to come there. You're going to tell Major League Baseball, and this is now where the mayor has to deal with this fact. Mayor Tao is going to tell Major League Baseball, we're ready for an expansion team, which means a 30-year lease, which means she is asking Major League Baseball and the owner of the franchise, the expansion franchise, to quite literally stick their collective heads underwater. That's what she's asking. Because you can talk, but you have no plan. This is serious stuff, folks. All right? This is stuff that can get you sued at the end of the day to a level of money you probably couldn't easily afford to pay back as a city. Because these are life-changing topographically moving problems that have never come up before. There's some people who hear this today and they say, well, that's a woke issue. That's stupid. Planets change. Climate changes. How you deal with it is something you need to answer as a question, because it is, and then take that answer and make it into an engineering solution. We have not done that. You hear what I'm saying? And yet Mayor Tao is going to say, I want an expansion team. Okay. So what's going to happen by 2050? And it's not going to be like, boom. It's going to be gradual, which is worse. Because by 2040, hey, we've got 34-inch swells. Then by 2045, it goes to 60, and then by 2050, it's at 72 inches. Seriously. And lest you laugh, take a look at the flood that was developing East Oakland last year with all the rains. Why do you think I was saying, hey, the roots shouldn't be down there on that appendage of a site they want that's temporary? Put them in the Coliseum and then make the Coliseum drainage better and lift it up. Actually, it's already lifted. And make the Coliseum drainage better. All right? We need to fix that problem anyway. So, wow. Can those plans be best presented? Yeah, they can be. We have to do that work. All right, folks. It is now 8:44 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've been on here 56 minutes and 39 seconds. Still no Casey Pratt. Well, I'm sure he'll have something he wants to say later. Meanwhile, I say this. Live long and prosper in your world. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Sir Chai. I'll see you. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to post them here, in the comments section, and I'll make a new video and answer them. Thank you. See you later.